Dust spiraled through the dry air as the sun beat down on the village square. People gathered, not out of curiosity, but out of habit. Another auction, another line of daughters sold like grain sacks, their fates sealed with a nod or coin toss. Liana stood last in line, barefoot and silent, her simple dress clinging to her in the heat. One by one, the other girls had been claimed, by merchants, laborers, even strangers from distant towns. Some went with tears, others with empty stares. Liana remained. She was 16, nearly grown, and that alone made her less desirable. Buyers wanted obedience, not spirit. And Liana had too much spirit for a world that didn't know what to do with it. Her hands trembled, but she held her chin high. Her heart pounded, but she didn't cry. She had no father beside her. No mother to hold her hand. They were gone, like so many others taken by sickness and scarcity. When her turn came, the auctioneer barked, "Strong girl, educated too. She reads, writes. Could serve in a house or tend to books." His voice was tired. He knew no one would bid. Silence settled like a fog over the crowd. No hands rose. No voices offered a price. She stood exposed beneath the weight of their indifference, not because she wasn't worth anything, but because they couldn't see her worth at all. She was the last daughter left. And for now, no one wanted her. The auctioneer cleared his throat, trying again. "Come now, she's capable. Healthy. Quick with numbers. Could teach your younger ones." But the crowd had already begun to shift, attention fading. A woman with 2 daughters tugged them away. A trader wiped his brow and turned toward his cart. No one looked at Liana, at least not for long. A few eyes lingered, but not with interest. One man scoffed. Another shook his head. "She's too proud," someone muttered from the side. "Won't break easy." Liana heard it. All of it. Still, she said nothing. She didn't bow her head or beg. She stood there with shoulders drawn back, eyes scanning the crowd, looking for one person who might see her as more than a transaction. Minutes passed. The silence grew unbearable, like a shame that had no name. The auctioneer's voice wavered now, his confidence cracking under the weight of rejection. "No offers. Not even for labor. She's alone, no dowry needed." Still, no one spoke. Liana's stomach twisted, not from hunger but from the cold realization that she was no longer even worth a price. Every girl before her had been chosen, even if not loved. But her? She was a leftover, a remnant of a world that only saw value in meekness or money. The sun beat down. Dust clung to her ankles. And as the auctioneer finally sighed and stepped back, Liana stood alone at the edge of nothing. Not sold. Not saved. Just, left. Just as the auctioneer turned to pack his papers, a voice rose from the back, low, steady, and unexpected. "I'll take her." Every head turned. Even Liana blinked, unsure if she had imagined it. From the edge of the square stepped an older man, broad-shouldered but bowed slightly with age. His beard was gray, his eyes kind but heavy with something deeper, like sorrow etched into bone. His clothes were plain, dusted with the road. The auctioneer squinted. "You, sir. You're offering a bid?" The man shook his head. "No coin." A nervous chuckle rippled through the crowd. Someone scoffed, "Then what's he offering, pity?" The old man ignored them. His gaze rested only on Liana. "I offer a name," he said quietly. "My name." Gasps broke through the heat-hushed air. The auctioneer blinked in disbelief. You want to marry her?" "No," the man said calmly. "She doesn't need a husband. She needs freedom. A name can give her that." Liana stared, stunned. This man had no reason to help her. He didn't know her. He didn't owe her anything. And yet, Here he was, offering the one thing no one else had even considered giving her. Dignity. The auctioneer hesitated, then finally waved his hand. Take her, then. She's yours. But the man stepped closer, meeting Liana's eyes. Only if you want, he said gently. You're not being bought. Just, offered a place to belong. And for the first time in weeks, Liana nodded. Not from fear. But hope. The road away from the village was quiet. Liana walked beside the man, Thomas, he said his name was, not behind him. He didn't speak much, just offered her a crust of bread and a flask of water. No demands. No expectations. Just silence that felt strangely safe. His cottage stood at the edge of a forest, small and weathered, but tidy. Chickens clucked in the yard. A swing hung from an old oak. It didn't look like the home of someone who would take in a stranger. It looked like a place where someone had once waited for someone who never came. Inside, Thomas showed her to a small room with a real bed and clean blankets. You can rest, he said simply. Nothing owed. Liana didn't sleep that night. She lay awake, waiting for the knock, the shout, the demand. But it never came. Just the sound of wind through the trees and the creak of the swing outside. Days passed. She helped with chores, but no one told her what to do. Thomas taught her how to tend the garden, fix the shutters, and read maps, always with quiet patience. One evening, as they sat by the fire, he finally spoke more than a few words. I had a daughter once, he said, voice thick. She had your eyes. Same stubborn spark. Fever took her. And my wife, not long after. He looked at the flames. I couldn't save them. But maybe I can shelter someone else's flame. If they'll let me. Liana didn't answer. She didn't need to. The tears in her eyes said everything. Years passed, and the village square looked different now. The auction block was long gone, replaced by a small stone fountain surrounded by benches and laughter. Children ran past holding books, not burdens. At the center of it all stood a modest school, its sign hand-carved and painted with care, the Liana Home for Girls. Inside, rows of young faces lit up as Liana stepped to the front of the room. She was no longer the silent girl from years ago. She stood tall, her voice steady, her presence warm. I was once the girl no one wanted, she began, her eyes sweeping across the room. I stood on this very ground, waiting to be sold. Waiting for someone to see me as more than a thing. But one man did. He gave me nothing anyone thought was valuable. No gold. No land. Just a name. She paused, swallowing emotion. Thomas. He didn't take me in to change me. He gave me space to become myself. He didn't save me with charity. He saved me with dignity. The room was silent, the weight of her words hanging gently in the air. When he passed, she continued, I chose to keep his name. Not because I owed him, but because it reminded me what one act of love can become. She looked at the girls before her, each with stories of their own, each with new futures now possible. We can all be someone's beginning. Just like he was mine.